MyMac.com reviews iPod Evolution. iOS 6.1 released. Apple TV gains Bluetooth keyboard support. 128GB iPads might be coming soon. It's Tuesday, January 29th, 2013, and this is iWake. I'm Tim Chaten, and this is what's going on in the Apple world today. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of iWake. This, I believe, will be the last edition before I head to Macworld, so there may not be any more iWakes that come out this week, as hotel Wi-Fi will probably be a bit spotty, and I'll be, quite frankly, very busy with Macworld, iWorld stuff. So be checking out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TCHATBN, as I'll be posting tons and tons of content. Last year I did around 100 videos for Macworld, so stay tuned for those. First up today, I just want to mention that Catch Me If You Can is now available for sale in the United States iTunes Store. This is one of Steven Spielberg's, one of my favorite Steven Spielberg films that he's done in the recent years, and it's $17 in HD or $10 in SD. And it's finally now available. It's very cool to see the archive, the older titles of Steven Spielberg, finally making their way back onto iTunes. We're still waiting on War of the Worlds, which I briefly saw available for pre-order, which is now pulled, and several others, Munich and a few others. So we're about 6 movies away from having the complete Steven Spielberg's collection on iTunes. So hopefully by the end of this year, all of that will be sorted out and we can complete our collections there. Anyways, it is available. Catch Me If You Can on the iTunes Store. Next up, I just want to highlight the fact that my book, iPod Evolution, got its second review, this time on mymac.com, and a very favorable review. And it's a lot of fun to read these reviews after you've been working on something for such a long time and getting feedback on what others think about it. So, Mark Greentree states in this review, iPod Evolution presented across more than 250 pages containing interesting reflections, thoughts, facts, and photographs. The level of detail amazed me. No stone is left unturned, and I even had to go and double-check some facts that I had no recollection of. Trust me when I say this doesn't happen often with an Apple-related book. And that's just part of this review. I'd recommend giving it a read. Very enjoyable for me to read, at least, and I think you'll have a good time as well. It's available at mymac.com and will be available as well in the show notes, linked to there. And a reminder, iPod Evolution is on sale for $7.99 as a pre-order now, downloadable on the 31st, and after Macworld, it'll go up to the normal price of $9.99. So that's that. Let's move on to some other news. First up, app.net. They are giving users 10 gigabytes of free cloud storage. Well, you pay for the service, but you get 10 gigabytes of storage. File API as well. So they're kind of doing some cool things here. So they want to become a social app platform through this new File API and cloud storage services. The API gives devs the tools they need to build any and all social applications they can dream up, from photo sharing apps to collaboration tools. Additionally, app.net is giving annual and dev accounts a 10 gigabyte cloud locker that can basically store your files as you need to. So pretty cool stuff that's going on there. Full details available in the show notes. Sorry for that brief hiccup thingy there. Next up, a little factoid. Nearly 300 million devices running iOS 6. That's 60% of all iOS devices ever, which is really remarkable because not all devices can run iOS 6. And the new version of iOS 6.1 adds LTE support for 36 additional iPhone carriers worldwide. So that's a pretty cool thing, and we'll get to a little bit later. So an additional 23 iPad carriers. So it's now running on over 300 let me say that again, 300 million devices. So pretty remarkable there. Um, Related to the iPhone is this idea of this lower cost iPhone, and we're getting more and more reports of this. And this is, I don't normally talk about rumors about these lower cost iPhones and iPhone math, which is a load of weird stuff. But we're getting some, I think, more and more legitimate things. People are saying it's going to be a combination of an iPhone 4, an iPhone 5, iPhone Classic. That's going to have a lot of different elements here to bring down the cost, and it looks pretty cool. There are some mock-up photographs, sketches, renditions that are available on Mac Rumors, and it has me excited for what this low-cost iPhone really could be. So unlike the plastic iPhone 3G with its soft curves on all sides, the budget iPhone's curves start and end at flat surfaces, so each side and the back are flat. So there are some significant changes here. Looks like a unique product, and I'd be curious to see if Apple actually does create one. Next up, we've got an update to the Apple TV as well as iOS for your touchscreen devices as well. So in the Apple TV, this is what you get with the update. You get iTunes and Cloud for movies. Browse and play your purchased iTunes music directly from iCloud. This is very cool, especially if you don't do iTunes in the iTunes Match. The big thing for me is Bluetooth keyboard. Use your Apple wireless keyboard to control your Apple TV. And I've actually done that, and it's pretty sweet being able to control with another non-line of sight device. Now, the really cool thing here is AirPlay audio for videos. Since stereo audio for movies, TV shows, and other videos on Apple TV to AirPlay-enabled speakers and devices, including Airport Expresses and other Apple TVs. So this is a change. Previously, Airport audio was only for music. Evidently, this update adds the ability to send audio wirelessly to speakers. So this is the hypothetical situation. You have your Apple TV, which is plugged into a projector in the back of your room. You have your speakers in the front of the room that are connected over, say, AirPlay. And you can now wirelessly have video streaming on the Apple TV, sending audio to there. So basically what I'm dreaming up here is a very wireless lifestyle and way of living. Pretty cool stuff. Sadly, this is going to be just for stereo speakers. So if you're looking for surround sound, that will not be available as of yet. And finally, there are stability and performance improvements with the iTunes Store, AirPlay, Netflix, iTunes Match, and wired Ethernet connections. So very cool news there. And my update did go successfully, and all went well there. So iOS 6.1, let's move on. Now ready for over-the-air download, a very small download of 107 megabytes. And this gets you improved iTunes Match. That means you're able to download songs one at a time, like you could in iOS 5, but you could not in iOS 6.0. It adds movie ticket purchasing through Siri and Fandango. And they've also updated the home screen to make it harder to accidentally tap back or forward, which I did all the time. So it's updated media controllers on the home screen. There's a new button to reset advertising identifier, and overall a solid update that went well for me. So I encourage you to update to the new version of iOS. Alongside that, Xcode 4.6 is released, and lots of new stuff here for developers. All the details are available there in the link in the show notes. Next up, brief mention, the new X-Men movie, X-Men Days of Future Past film, will be a very exciting movie. I'm a huge fan of this X-Men franchise of movies, and basically what's happening is we're going to be seeing a movie that bridges the gap between the new one, the first class, and the old ones, the old trilogy. and Wolverine movie. So we're gonna have characters from all the different X-Men ones, and they're gonna unify this in this next movie, which I'm really excited to see them do that. So pretty cool news there. Next up today is the brief mention that Sprint has added LTE coverage to Boston and Austin. They kind of rhyme a little bit. But if you have a Sprint iPad with LTE, well, now it's usable if you live in one of those two cities. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully, they'll add more as their LTE coverage is rather weak. Lastly, we have some reports that look to be very likely that Apple will update the iPad 4 to include 128 gigabyte storage. No word yet on if the Mini would ever get this, but it's looking like the iPad 4th generation will get a bump probably in the March or April timeframe that we're used to having iPad updates. This bump is going to be a storage bump and will be a 4th SKU in addition to the original 3 SKUs. So this will not be replacing the 128 gigabyte, or not replacing the 64 gigabyte, but be a new SKU entirely. At price points rather high and very much creeping on MacBook Air territory. So it's not a new design. It'll come in both white and black. It'll have cellular or Wi-Fi options, and education packs will be available. $799 starting price, $929 for the cellular model. I may mention that's only $70 less than the MacBook Air with 64 gigabytes. So we are beginning to see that gap being filled. These are being dubbed the ultimate versions of the iPad, and at near $1,000, that's definitely the case. I would be extremely tempted to get one of these just to have 128 gigabytes of storage on an iPad. That to me is drool worthy, and wow, I really want that. So, anyways, this is a rumor that I think may happen. So, for that, before my video starts freezing again, my apologies there if you're watching the video. I'm having some issues here with lack of, I guess, CPU processing power on my MacBook Air. Anyways, that will do today's show. Thank you for tuning in, listening, whatever medium you're watching or listening this in. You can catch the show notes at iWakePodcast.com. Details about my book, iPod Evolution, is found at iPodEvolution.net. Available for pre-order today for $7.99. Available to download on the 31st of January as Macworld iWorld kicks off. So once again, thank you for tuning into today's show. I'll talk to you out again sometime. As Macworld's going on, I will have probably no more shows this week, but stay tuned for future episodes. Have a good week.